The moment you stop chasing is the moment everything begins to unfold. You have spent years running after love, after money, after recognition, chasing what the world told you would make you whole. You exhausted yourself trying to catch what seemed just beyond reach. And yet the more you chased, the more it evaded you. Not because it was impossible, but because you were operating under the illusion that what you desire is separate from you. You believed that you had to fight and sweat and beg to receive what was always within. Stillness is the key, and yet the world celebrates noise. Silence is the gateway, and yet we are taught to scream our worth. But true power begins in quiet realization that all that you seek already exists within the fabric of your consciousness, patiently waiting for recognition, not pursuit. You were never meant to chase, you were meant to become. What you desire begins the moment you stop trying to get it and start knowing it, not intellectually, but spiritually, deep within. When you stop moving in desperation and begin resting in awareness, the thing you were chasing turns and finds you. Because the chase is born of fear, but stillness is born of faith. And faith is the creative force of all reality. Every time you chase something, you affirm its absence. Every time you want it so badly that you cannot sit still, you declare to the universe that it is not yet yours. And so it continues to remain just outside your grasp, not because it is denied to you, but because you have denied yourself the stillness required to receive. To stop chasing is not to give up. It is not apathy. It is not surrender to failure. It is, in truth, the greatest act of creation. For only when you stop running can you stand where you are and declare it is already mine. And when you do, something shifts. A movement begins in the unseen. Life begins to rearrange itself in response to your inner knowing. The world must reflect the image you hold within. All manifestation begins with assumption, not effort, not struggle, not pleading, but inner assumption. The assumption that what you desire is already present, here, now, within you. To live from that place is to live in power. To stop chasing is to assume the role of the creator rather than the beggar. It is to walk as one who already has, not one who hopes to receive. Many will not understand this. They will look at your stillness and call it laziness. They will see your calm and call it delusion. But they do not know the laws that govern the unseen. They do not understand that nothing real is born in noise. All true transformation happens in the invisible realm of imagination, and it begins the moment you stop trying to force it and begin to feel it. Imagine, not with longing but with certainty. Speak not as one in need but as one in possession. Feel not the lack but the presence. This is not about pretending, it is about knowing deeply, unshakably, that your inner world births your outer world. And until your inner world shifts, the outer will not. So pause, breathe, close your eyes, and feel what it's like to already be there, to already have what you once chased. Let it become so real in you that it no longer feels like a dream, but a memory. That is when the door opens. That is when life bends in your favor. Not because you chased it, but because you knew it. There is no need to run after what belongs to you. When you stop chasing, you begin attracting. When you stop seeking, you start aligning. And when you rest in the awareness of who you already are, the world responds with the reality that matches your truth. It begins not in effort, not in hustle, but in stillness, belief, and knowing. It begins the moment you stop chasing. The moment you begin to chase something, you announce its absence. You declare with your energy, your emotions, your thoughts that it is not with you, that it is far distant, perhaps even unreachable. Every time you chase money, love, recognition, or health, you are saying, I do not have it. And the world, being a perfect mirror of your inner state, reflects that belief back to you without error. You might chase for days, weeks, or years, but as long as you are chasing, you are not receiving. Because you cannot chase and receive at the same time. You are either moving in faith or moving in fear. You are either assuming possession or affirming lack. There is no in between. This is the contradiction that keeps many people stuck. They believe they are doing the right thing by striving, pushing, hustling, begging the universe for their desires. But beneath the surface of those actions lies a core belief that they do not yet have what they want. And so, despite all their efforts, the results remain the same. Nothing changes. Or if it does change, it comes with great difficulty only to slip away again, because the inner foundation remains rooted in lack. To chase is to live in a mindset that says, I must reach for it because it is not yet mine. It is a subtle but powerful message to the subconscious, reinforcing separation between you and your desire. And what you affirm consistently becomes your experience. The more you chase, the more you entrench yourself in the belief that you are without, and that belief becomes the soil from which your life grows. If the soil is filled with lack, the fruit it produces will mirror that condition. This is why so many people feel like they are running on a treadmill, expending energy but going nowhere. They believe they must keep chasing or else they will lose everything. But the truth is, what is meant for you doesn't run. It waits. It waits for you to stop running, to stop panicking, to stop doubting, and to finally know there is a sacred power in stillness, not the stillness of laziness or apathy, but the stillness of faith. A stillness that says, I know it is done. A stillness that doesn't flinch at appearances. A stillness that remains unmoved even when the outer world tries to convince you otherwise. Because that kind of stillness is not passive. It is an active participation in the creative process. It is the silent but strong declaration that you have already received what your heart desires, even if the world has not caught up yet. When you stop chasing, you shift your identity. You no longer see yourself as one in pursuit, but as one in possession. And this shift is not just psychological, it is spiritual, it is energetic. The vibration of chasing is frantic, ungrounded, desperate, but the vibration of having is calm, grateful, and magnetic. People can feel it, the universe can feel it, and the results respond accordingly. Think about someone who walks into a room with quiet confidence. They are not seeking approval, they are not begging to be seen, and yet everyone notices them. Their energy speaks before their words do. Why? Because they are not chasing attention, they are embodying worth. This is the same principle that applies to your desires. When you stop chasing them, you begin embodying them. You begin acting, speaking, thinking, and feeling as though they are already part of your life. And the world has no choice but to reflect that back. You were not created to beg for the life you want. You were not made to crawl toward your blessings as if they are reluctant to come near you. You are a creator, not a victim. And creators do not chase. They declare, they imagine, they believe, they feel, they dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. And from that dwelling, all things begin to flow. But this can only happen when you stop reaching outward and start looking inward. Everything you want exists in the realm of consciousness. And until you claim it there, you will not hold it here. You cannot outrun your beliefs. You can try to build a life on effort and struggle, but if your inner world says, not yet, the outer world will always echo that signal. So you must turn inward, not to search for what is missing, but to know that nothing is missing. To see with the eyes of imagination, to feel with the heart of certainty, to speak from the place of already having. And this is where the journey begins. Not when you chase, but when you realize there's nothing left to chase. There's a moment in the life of every person who has ever manifested something great, where they stopped trying and started trusting. They let go of the frantic pace and rested in the vision. They let go of the need to force and began to embody the feeling. It is a quiet, almost invisible shift, but it changes everything. Suddenly, the same world that looked cold and closed off begins to open. Paths appear, opportunities emerge, the right people arrive. And it's not because they did more, it's because they aligned more. And alignment is impossible while you're running, because chasing takes you out of your center. It places your focus entirely on the outside world, on timing, on conditions, on other people. But creation doesn't happen out there, it happens within. The outer world is only a screen. The real movie is being played inside your consciousness. And until you change the film, the screen will keep showing the same story. You must learn to be still in the face of desire, to hold the feeling of already having it even when nothing has changed yet, to carry the emotion of fulfillment in a world that still shows emptiness. Because that is faith, that is power, that is creation, and that is where all miracles begin. Not in the chase, but in the quiet decision to believe without seeing. To stop chasing is to step out of survival mode and into creative mode. It is to walk by inner knowing instead of outer evidence. And in doing so, you begin to rewrite your life not by force, but by frequency. You shift from asking, "How can I get this?" to declaring, "I already am this." And that shift, though invisible to the world, is thunderous in the realm of manifestation. Everything begins to reorganize. Everything begins to respond. Everything begins the moment you stop chasing. Imagination is not daydreaming. It is not fantasy. It is the seedbed of reality. Everything you now touch, see, and experience was once imagined, either by you or by someone else. The house you live in was first a thought, the chair you sit on, the phone in your hand, the clothes on your body, none of it existed until it existed first in the mind. You live in a world of manifested imagination, and yet so few understand the power that lies within their own inner vision. The moment you begin to see your imagination as the true creative force, the rules of life change. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are no longer waiting for the world to bring you what you desire. Instead, you begin to understand that you bring the world what you hold within. That the outer is nothing more than a shadow of the inner. That your environment is only the echo of your imagination made visible. Most people imagine unconsciously. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They replay betrayals. They rehearse disappointment. And they wonder why their lives reflect fear, lack, and repetition. But imagination does not discriminate. It responds with precision. It brings forth what is consistently dwelled upon, whether it is wanted or not. It does not respond to fleeting wishes, it responds to deeply held assumptions. To truly create using imagination, you must feel it real. It is not enough to think about what you want. You must step into the experience of it within. You must engage the senses inwardly, hear the voice that congratulates you, see the scene that would play out if it were already true. Touch the outcome with your heart. Taste the joy of already having it. When your inner world becomes saturated with the feeling of fulfillment, your outer world cannot resist the transformation. The challenge is not whether the imagination works. The challenge is in using it deliberately, consistently, and with belief. Many will say, "I tried to imagine, but nothing changed." What they mean is, "I imagined once or twice, but my doubts outweighed my vision." The power of imagination does not bend to casual use. It responds to conviction. It demands persistence, not in begging, but in assuming, not in hoping, but in knowing. To live from imagination is to break free from appearances. It is to no longer accept the present as permanent. It is to see beyond what is into what can be, and then to live as if it already is. This is not pretending. It is not escaping reality. It is creating reality. You are not denying the facts, you are planting new ones. And like any seed, what is planted in imagination will break through into form if it is nourished with faith. Many misunderstand this and say, "Are you saying I should lie to myself?" No. What is a lie is the belief that you are powerless. What is a lie is the acceptance that you must wait for permission to live the life you desire. What is a lie is that you are separate from your dreams. The truth is, your dreams are already within you. They are waiting not for permission, but for embodiment. And embodiment begins in imagination. The most powerful moments of change happen not when you do something different, but when you feel something different. When you begin to feel the life you want as though it is here now, you activate the law that governs manifestation. That feeling, sustained and alive, is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is not effort that brings things into form. It is feeling. Emotion is the language of creation, and imagination is the tool through which that language is spoken. When you were a child, you imagined freely. You became who you wanted to be in an instant. You played with invisible friends, created kingdoms in your room, and traveled worlds without moving your feet. The world called it fantasy, but what it really was creative power in its purest form. You were not concerned with how things would happen. You simply lived in the experience as if it were real, and that is the secret you must return to. Imagination is the return to your original state of power. It is not something you grow out of, it is something you must grow back into. Because every desire you hold is not a wish, it is a calling. And the moment you imagine it and feel it, you signal to life that you are ready, that you are no longer content with waiting or chasing, you are now creating. You may not see the result immediately, but just as you do not dig up a seed to check if it's growing, you must not uproot your vision with doubt. You must rest in the assurance that the process is working, even when it's invisible, especially when it's invisible, because imagination does not operate on your timeline. It operates on alignment. The moment your inner world is in harmony with your desire, the outer must comply. You cannot imagine abundance while constantly affirming lack. You cannot imagine love while dwelling in rejection. You cannot imagine peace while identifying with anxiety. The world outside will not change until the world inside does. And imagination is the canvas on which you must paint your new reality. Not just once, but again and again, until it becomes more real to you than the evidence around you. So each day, close your eyes not to escape life, but to create it. Enter the state of the wish fulfilled. Feel it with all your heart. Walk in it mentally, speak from it emotionally, act as though you are living it now, not to deceive yourself, but to awaken yourself. Because imagination is not about pretending. It is about remembering that you are a creator, and your inner world is the workshop of your destiny. When you fully accept that your imagination is not idle but divine, that it is the birthplace of your future, you stop waiting for signs and you start producing them. You stop doubting the path and you begin paving it with every thought you consciously nurture. The world bends not to those who chase, but to those who imagine. Faith does what force can never accomplish. You can push, hustle, and strive your entire life, but if your inner state is filled with doubt, all your effort will only exhaust you. Force is the product of fear. It is rooted in the belief that things won't happen unless you make them happen, by willpower, by action, by domination. But faith is an entirely different energy. Faith is rest in knowing. Faith is the quiet strength that says it is done, even when nothing has changed in the world around you. And from this internal knowing, all things begin to move. People often confuse faith with passive waiting. They believe that having faith means sitting idly by while the world changes around them. But true faith is not passive. It is deeply active. It creates. It radiates. It carries a frequency so strong, so clear, that the world responds not out of obligation but out of alignment. Faith doesn't beg or hope, it knows. And in that knowing, it magnetizes the things you once tried to force into your life. Force wears you down. It is reactive. It needs constant effort to maintain results. It turns your desires into burdens, your dreams into demands. But faith is effortless in its movement. It flows. It doesn't chase. It attracts. Because when you truly believe that something is already yours, you don't feel the need to prove it or force it into existence. You walk with a different energy. You carry yourself with the calm of certainty, and that calm is irresistible to life. Imagine two people desiring the same thing. One tries to make it happen by constantly acting, stressing, planning, and panicking. The other person imagines, believes, and moves from a place of inner peace. The first may achieve results, but they will come with great resistance and often fall apart when they stop pushing. The second person sees doors open naturally. Situations align, people appear, timing works in their favor. And the difference is not luck, the difference is alignment, the difference is faith. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees beyond what is visible. It recognizes that the real world is not just what you can touch and measure, but what you can feel and know within. Force tries to change things from the outside in, but faith transforms from the inside out. And once the inner has shifted, the outer must reflect it, like a mirror responding to your expression. There is no other way it can be. You must ask yourself why you are forcing. Are you afraid it will not happen otherwise? Do you think life needs your panic in order to deliver your dreams? That belief itself reveals the absence of faith. You were not designed to panic your way into blessings. You were designed to align with them. Faith is trust in the invisible, and that trust becomes the substance of the visible. But it cannot be borrowed. It must be cultivated through awareness, imagination, and repetition. You cultivate faith by choosing again and again to believe the unseen over the seen. You don't wait until the outer world confirms your desire, you confirm it yourself. You declare it internally and hold on to that feeling even when appearances contradict it. This is the test, and this is the power. Faith doesn't flinch when things don't look right. It holds steady because it knows the truth is deeper than appearances. When you force something, you are saying, "This isn't mine yet and I have to earn it." When you operate in faith, you are saying, "This is already mine and I'm aligning with it." One lives in separation, the other lives in union, and only the latter produces lasting results. Because the world outside is an echo. It can only give you what you already carry inside. Think of the people you admire who seem to create effortlessly. They don't chase, they don't panic, they don't scream for validation. They simply believe. And their belief becomes a blueprint for reality. This is not coincidence, it is principle. They may act, yes, but their actions are not frantic, they are inspired. Their movements are not born out of fear, but from clarity. This is the way of faith. Faith also allows you to let go, not to abandon your desire, but to release the tension around it, to stop obsessing over how and when, and begin trusting that the process is working, even when it looks like nothing is happening. That kind of trust creates space for miracles. It invites the unexpected. It opens you to the grace that force shuts out. Because force is rigid, but faith is flexible. Force insists, faith listens. And in that listening, you often receive more than you could have ever forced into being. There is nothing more magnetic than a person who knows something is already theirs. They don't need to argue, compete, or prove themselves. They walk differently, speak differently, think differently. And that inner difference shifts the atmosphere around them. People feel it. Life responds to it. Doors open not because they were broken down, but because the vibration of belief unlocked them. So when you find yourself exhausted by striving, stop. Not to give up, but to remember the truth. You do not have to force what is already yours. You do not have to manipulate life into blessing you. You only have to believe, see, and feel the end result. And from that place move, not out of desperation, but out of clarity. Not because you need it, but because you know it. Faith is the greatest creative force because it does not require physical evidence. It births that evidence. And once you begin living in faith, not visiting it occasionally, but dwelling in it, life begins to meet you in ways force never could. Synchronicities appear, resources show up, people call, opportunities land at your feet, and you realize that life was never resisting you, it was simply waiting for you to stop resisting yourself. You were created to move with faith, not fear, to align, not to force. And when you live in that truth, you become a vessel through which miracles flow, not because you chased them, but because you trusted they were already yours. Letting go is not weakness. It is not quitting. It is not giving up on what you desire. Letting go is alignment. It is the highest act of trust you can offer the universe, yourself, and the unseen intelligence that responds to your inner state. When you let go, you are not discarding your desire. You are releasing the tension that binds it. You are removing the barriers of need, of desperation, of doubt. You are making room for the manifestation to breathe, to unfold, and to arrive naturally. Because what is truly meant for you is not earned through anxiety. It is revealed through faith and rest. So many people confuse holding on with being faithful. They grip their desires with such intensity that they squeeze the life out of them. They obsess, they panic, they try to control every variable. They live on edge, fearing that one wrong move will ruin everything. But that is not faith. That is fear in disguise. And the truth is, what you grip out of fear, you repel. What you try to dominate through control slips further from your grasp. Because you are not meant to manipulate the how, you're meant to embody the now. You're meant to live as if it is already yours. Not wait anxiously for a sign that it might be. Letting go is the moment you shift from chasing to receiving. It is the energetic pivot where you stop identifying as the one who lacks and begin embodying the one who has. It is a surrender, but not the kind the world teaches. It is not a surrender of hope. It is a surrender of resistance. You stop pushing against the current and allow yourself to flow with the stream that was always carrying you forward. You stop insisting that the desire must appear in this specific way at this specific time, and instead declare, I trust that it is done. I trust that what is mine is finding its way to me now in perfect order. Letting go does not mean you stop caring, it means you stop fearing. You stop doubting. You stop trying to force reality to comply with your limited perception. You realize that your role is to imagine, to believe, to feel, and to rest in that knowing. That the greater part of creation is invisible, subtle, and beyond your conscious control. You do not have to see the mechanics behind the scenes. You only have to know that they are working in your favor. The flower does not struggle to bloom, it opens in its time, and the same is true for your desires. There's a kind of peace that only comes when you finally let go. It's a silence that fills the space where anxiety once lived. You stop rehearsing conversations. You stop checking the clock. You stop wondering when and how and if, because something in you has settled into knowing, into awareness, into the realization that you are not missing anything. You are becoming it. And that becoming is enough. It is enough to shift the world around you, not by force, but by frequency, Many people live their lives constantly asking, what should I do next? But the real question is, who am I being right now? Because action without alignment leads to frustration. But when you let go, you give yourself the gift of alignment. You return to the present moment, where all power resides. You feel again, you imagine again, you trust again. And from that space, action flows effortlessly, not because you must, but because it is inspired. It comes not from fear, but from clarity, not from lack, but from truth. Letting go is not about losing the desire, it is about losing the desperation. Desperation comes from believing you are separate from what you want, but letting go declares that you are already connected, that the bridge has already been built within you, and now you are simply allowing the outer world to catch up. You move through your days with quiet confidence. You speak from fulfillment. You dream without begging, and the universe feels that. Life always mirrors the energy you carry, and when you let go, you carry the energy of peace. There is a magnetic power in peace. It draws to you effortlessly what you once struggled to attain. Because peace is the signature of faith. It says, I have already received, even if I haven't touched it yet. And that vibration is irresistible to the forces that shape reality. The universe is not moved by panic, it is moved by presence. And presence only comes when you let go of the need to constantly control the outcome. You do not have to know every step. You do not have to have every answer. You simply have to feel it real, trust the unfolding, and let go of the urge to force it. This is not laziness. This is mastery. This is creation in its purest form. The tree does not worry about when the rain will come. It does not panic about when the sun will rise. It trusts the process, and in that trust it grows. You too are designed to grow this way, from within, from faith, from alignment. And when you let go, something else happens. You become available to receive, to see opportunities, to move with ease instead of resistance. You become less reactive to delays, to obstacles, to opinions, because your inner world is not shaken by the outer. You have already decided inwardly that it is done, and from that place, everything becomes possible. Letting go is the final step before manifestation appears, not because it is the end of your desire, but because it is the beginning of its realization. It is the moment you stop looking outward and start trusting inward. The moment you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. The moment you declare that what is meant for you will not pass you by, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. You knew it, you felt it, you believed it, and then you let go, not to lose it, but to live it. Here is the conclusion of the entire speech. Neville Goddard. It all begins the moment you stop chasing, with a strong and final message, written up to 600 words. Now, take a breath. Let everything you've just heard sink in, not as theory, not as philosophy, but as truth. Deep, eternal, personal truth. You've been taught your whole life to run, to strive, to hustle, to chase after what you want, as if it were hiding in some far-off corner of the world. But the truth is, what you've been chasing has never been outside of you. It has always been within. The moment you realize that, your entire life begins to shift. You don't need to wear yourself out trying to convince life to bless you. You don't need to prove your worth or scream louder than your fear. All you need is stillness. Not the stillness of passivity, but the stillness of certainty. The quiet, unshakable knowing that what you feel inside becomes what you see outside. That you do not manifest by desperation, you manifest by embodiment. You are not here to chase life, you are here to remember that you are life. that everything flows from you, that you are the root, not the result. When you stop chasing, you make room for the thing you've wanted most to finally find you. Because the energy of chasing declares, I don't have it, but the energy of alignment says it is already mine. That subtle shift creates a monumental difference. Let this be the moment you release your grip, not on the dream, but on the fear. Let this be the moment you stop living like a beggar and begin walking like a creator. Imagine again. Feel it real again. Trust again. Not because of what you see, but because of what you know. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to trust. You are allowed to believe that life supports your vision, that the universe is not your enemy, that the things planted in your heart were not accidents, they were instructions. You are allowed to stop running and start receiving. Letting go doesn't mean you stop wanting, it means you stop suffering, it means you stop doubting, it means you start living now as if it's already done. Because the greatest proof of belief is action, and the highest form of action is peaceful alignment. That is the faith that moves mountains. That is the power that reshapes reality. So if you're tired, rest. If you're afraid, surrender. If you're waiting, release the weight of time. You don't have to chase what's already yours. You only have to become the version of you who has it, feels it, knows it, and then let go. And in that letting go, in that sacred silence, in that calm declaration of I am, you'll find everything you once thought you had to pursue. It doesn't begin when the money arrives. It doesn't begin when the relationship manifests. It doesn't begin when the door finally opens. It begins the moment you stop chasing. And in that moment you realize it was never running from you. It was waiting for you to remember who you are. The wealth you seek is already yours. It exists not in some distant future, but in the now, waiting for you to claim it. The key is not to chase, not to struggle, but to assume its reality within. Everything in this world is a reflection of your inner state. If you persist in seeing yourself as lacking, as struggling, as waiting for wealth to arrive, then life will mirror that belief back to you. But the moment you shift, and you dare to believe that you already are the person who possesses abundance, you open the door for wealth to flow effortlessly into your life. Time is not your enemy. Time is simply a bridge that connects your inner conviction to your outer reality. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust that nature will unfold in perfect order. The same is true for your desires. Your assumption held with unwavering faith will harden into fact. Do not allow doubt to creep in. Do not let the opinions of others shake your faith. Wealth comes not when you beg for it, not when you fear its absence, but when you rest in the knowing that it is already yours. You must live from the end. Feel now what it would be like to have the abundance you seek. Walk, talk, and think as the one who already has it, and the world will rearrange itself to reflect your assumption. You do not need to force anything. Wealth is not something to be chased. It is something to be accepted. The right time is not some distant moment in the future. It is the moment you align your consciousness with the reality of abundance. That moment can be now. Believe it, feel it, live it. And the wealth you seek will come to you in ways beyond your comprehension, at the perfect time, effortlessly. Wealth is not something separate from you, something outside of you that you must chase, struggle for, or desperately seek. It is already yours. It exists within you as a state of consciousness, waiting for you to accept it, to embody it, and to allow it to manifest in your external world. The greatest illusion is the belief that wealth is something distant, something that must be earned through suffering or acquired through luck. But the truth is much simpler. Your assumption creates your reality. And when you assume yourself to be wealthy, the world has no choice but to reflect that assumption back to you. There is no external force withholding abundance from you. There is no divine punishment, no cosmic test, no predetermined fate keeping you from wealth. The only thing standing between you and the financial abundance you desire is the belief that it is separate from you. The moment you let go of this illusion, the moment you embrace the knowing that wealth is your natural state, it begins to flow into your life effortlessly. This is the secret that many overlook. You do not have to chase wealth, you have to become it. You must embody the feeling of already having it. When you feel wealthy within, you will see the evidence of wealth around you. Your mind is the creative power behind your experience. If you persist in believing that wealth is difficult to attain, that it requires endless effort and struggle, then that is the reality you will create. If you constantly tell yourself that money is scarce, that you never have enough, that you must work harder and harder to survive, then your subconscious will accept these beliefs as truth, and your outer world will conform accordingly. But if you shift your inner state, if you begin to see yourself as someone who naturally attracts money, who lives in financial ease, who always has more than enough, then your external world will change to reflect this new self-concept. The wealth you desire is already here, waiting for you to claim it by assuming its reality. This is not about wishful thinking or empty affirmations. It is about a deep inner conviction, a knowing that transcends logic and appearances. When you look at your current financial situation, it may not yet reflect the abundance you seek, but you must not allow your present circumstances to dictate your beliefs. Your current reality is simply a reflection of your past assumptions, a manifestation of old beliefs that no longer serve you. The key is to stop reacting to what is, and instead focus on what you desire, as if it is already yours. Imagine for a moment that you are already wealthy. Close your eyes and feel it. How does it feel to have financial freedom? To know that you have more than enough to support yourself and those you love. To wake up each day without stress, without worry, knowing that wealth flows to you effortlessly. Hold on to that feeling. Let it fill you completely. This is the state of being that will draw wealth into your life. It is not enough to think about wealth. You must feel it, embody it, live in the end result. There is no need to force anything, no need to struggle or overanalyze how wealth will come to you. The moment you assume the state of wealth, life begins to move in ways you cannot predict. Opportunities appear, doors open, people enter your life who can assist you, and financial abundance flows in ways you never expected. But all of this happens as a result of your inner shift, not through effort or force. The external world is simply a mirror reflecting your state of being. When you feel wealthy within, the outer world will conform to match that feeling. Doubt is the only thing that can block this process. If you affirm wealth but secretly believe that it is impossible for you, if you constantly check for signs and worry about whether it is working, you are contradicting your assumption. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot hold both faith and doubt at the same time. You must decide with absolute certainty that you are wealthy now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. When you hold on to this inner knowing, reality has no choice but to shift in your favor. Think of wealth as a frequency, a vibration that you tune into. When you tune into lack, you attract more lack. When you tune into abundance, you attract more abundance. This is not about working harder or doing more. It is about being in alignment with the frequency of wealth. If you were already wealthy, how would you think? How would you feel? How would you behave? Begin acting from that place now, and the outer world will adjust accordingly. Many people believe that wealth is reserved for a select few, that it is only attainable through luck or privilege. But this is a limiting belief, and like all beliefs, it can be changed. The truth is, wealth is an energy, and energy is abundant. There is no shortage of money in this world. The only shortage exists in the minds of those who believe in lack. When you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, you open yourself up to receive all that is already available to you. Do not look to the world for validation. The world will always reflect your past beliefs. And if you seek proof before you believe, you will only see more of what you already assume to be true. Instead, create the proof within yourself first. Feel wealthy before you see the evidence, and the evidence will come. This is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about recognizing that your assumptions shape your reality. If you assume wealth, wealth must come. If you assume lack, lack will persist. You are always creating, always manifesting, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what are you creating? Start today. Begin shifting your inner state. Each time you catch yourself thinking thoughts of lack, replace them with thoughts of abundance. Each time you feel doubt creeping in, remind yourself that wealth is already yours. The more you persist in this new assumption, the faster it will solidify into your reality. Wealth is not something you acquire, it is something you tune into. It is not outside of you, it is within you. The moment you realize this, the moment you truly accept it, you will see the evidence of your assumption unfold in your life in ways that seem almost magical. But it is not magic, it is simply the law at work, the natural unfolding of consciousness into form. You do not need to seek wealth. You only need to accept that you already have it. When you embody this truth, when you make it a living reality in your mind, wealth will come to you effortlessly, at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Let go of struggle, let go of doubt. Assume the feeling of wealth now, and watch as life rearranges itself to match your assumption. It is already done. Wealth is already yours. Doubt and fear are the only obstacles to this process. If you waver in your belief, if you allow yourself to be swayed by appearances, if you let the outside world dictate your inner state, you will remain stuck in the same patterns. But the moment you decide, truly decide, that wealth is your reality, that abundance is your birthright, that financial freedom is already yours, everything begins to shift. You will notice changes in the way people respond to you, in the opportunities that come your way, in the ease with which money flows into your life. And once you see this law in action, you will never doubt again. This is why wealth is not a matter of luck or privilege. It is a matter of consciousness. The wealth you desire is not outside of you, waiting to be earned or granted. It is within you, waiting to be realized. When you accept this truth, when you embody the feeling of already having what you desire, you unlock the door to infinite abundance. Nothing in your external world is set in stone. Everything is fluid, shaped by your assumptions. You hold the power to create the life you desire by choosing the thoughts you dwell upon, the beliefs you nurture, and the feelings you cultivate within. The wealth you seek is already here, already yours. The moment you shift your inner state, the world will mirror it back to you, and abundance will flow effortlessly into your life. The power of assumption is the foundation of everything you experience in life. Whatever you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, will inevitably shape your reality. Your mind is the creative force behind every event, every circumstance, and every opportunity that comes your way. The world does not act independently of you. Rather, it conforms to the dominant beliefs you hold within. The key to attracting wealth or anything else you desire lies in mastering the art of assumption. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see, assuming that their current conditions dictate their future. They look at their bank account, at their financial struggles, and believe that what they see now determines what is possible for them. But this is not the way creation works. The external world is merely an echo of the internal world, a reflection of the state of consciousness you hold. If you want to experience wealth, you must first assume the feeling of wealth. You must live in the conviction that abundance is already yours. even before the physical evidence appears. This is not about wishful thinking or pretending. It is about stepping into the reality you desire and making it your truth before the world has had a chance to reflect it back to you. When you assume something to be true with unwavering certainty, reality has no choice but to shape itself accordingly. Your subconscious mind, which governs the unfolding of your life, will accept whatever you impress upon it. If you consistently assume yourself to be wealthy, if you feel the reality of abundance deep within you, your subconscious mind will orchestrate the events, people, and opportunities necessary to make that assumption a fact. Consider the way the mind works when it comes to self-concept. A person who assumes themselves to be confident walks and speaks with certainty. They do not need external validation to prove their confidence because it is something they already believe about themselves. The world in turn responds to them as a confident individual. People respect them, listen to them, and treat them as someone who possesses authority. On the other hand, a person who assumes themselves to be unworthy will carry themselves with hesitation, and the world will reflect that assumption back to them in the form of rejection and struggle. The same principle applies to wealth. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, to be someone who naturally attracts prosperity, you will begin to move through life with the energy of abundance. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions will align with that assumption, and the world will follow suit. You will find yourself in situations that bring financial growth, encountering the right people at the right time, receiving unexpected opportunities that move you closer to your goal. This is why many people who struggle financially remain stuck in a cycle of lack. They continue to assume scarcity, constantly worrying about money, reinforcing the belief that wealth is difficult to attain. Their dominant state of consciousness is one of fear and limitation, and the world simply reflects that back to them. They do not realize that they have the power to change their financial situation by first changing the way they think and feel about money. Assuming wealth is not about waiting for money to appear before you feel abundant. It is about embodying the energy of prosperity now. It is about shifting your state of being so completely that the world has no choice but to conform to your new belief. When you assume yourself to be wealthy, you stop doubting, you stop seeking validation, and you stop allowing temporary conditions to define your future. You move through life with the certainty that abundance is yours, and that certainty is what draws wealth to you. Every great success story follows this principle. The most successful people in the world did not wait for external evidence before they believed in their success. They assumed it long before it materialized. They carried themselves as though their vision was already a reality. And in doing so, they aligned themselves with the opportunities, ideas, and circumstances that brought their dreams to life. The wealth you see in the world today was first created in the minds of those who assumed it before it ever appeared in their hands. This is why it is crucial to guard your thoughts and assumptions. Every moment you are either assuming abundance or assuming lack. There is no in between. If you constantly tell yourself that money is hard to come by, that you are struggling, that you are stuck, then you are reinforcing a reality of financial difficulty. But if you shift your assumption, if you begin to see yourself as someone who is already financially free, who naturally attracts prosperity, who lives in ease and abundance, then your outer world will transform accordingly. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you assume wealth but then let doubt creep in, questioning whether it is truly possible, you disrupt the creative process. This is why unwavering faith is essential. You must persist in the assumption of wealth, even when the external world has not yet caught up. You must live in the conviction that what you have assumed is already a fact, even if your physical reality has yet to reflect it. Faith in your assumption is what accelerates manifestation. The more you dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, the faster it must come to you. There is no randomness in this process. It is governed by law, just as gravity is a law. The moment you fully assume yourself to be wealthy, without contradiction, the external world begins to shift in ways beyond your comprehension to bring that assumption into form. Many people struggle with this concept because they have been conditioned to believe that wealth is something that must be earned through struggle and hardship. They have been taught that money comes only through effort and external action. But effort alone does not create wealth. Consciousness does. The most successful individuals in history did not create their fortunes through mere labor. They did so by first aligning their minds with the reality they desired. Their belief in their wealth came before the wealth itself. This is the secret that separates those who manifest abundance with ease from those who struggle their entire lives. It is not about luck, external circumstances, or even intelligence. It is about assumption. If you can assume yourself to be wealthy, to be someone for whom financial success is inevitable, then you will naturally move in ways that lead you to that reality. Your thoughts will align with wealth. Your actions will reflect abundance, and the world will mirror your new state of being. You do not need to see the path in order to believe in the outcome. You do not need to know exactly how wealth will come to you. Your only responsibility is to assume the state of wealth so completely that doubt becomes impossible. When you do this, the details will take care of themselves. The right opportunities will appear, doors will open, and the resources you need will come to you effortlessly. There is no need to force anything. The moment you assume wealth, the creative power within you begins working on your behalf. The universe is always responding to your dominant assumption, rearranging circumstances in ways beyond your current understanding. When you fully accept that wealth is already yours, when you no longer seek it but simply know it to be your reality, then it must manifest. This is not a matter of external validation or proof. It is a matter of knowing. When you live in the assumption of wealth, when you carry yourself with the certainty that abundance is your natural state, the world will have no choice but to reflect it back to you. Everything begins within. The wealth you desire is already here, waiting for you to claim it through the power of assumption. The moment you shift your belief, the moment you accept that you are already wealthy, the world will reshape itself to match your inner conviction. This is not about pretending or engaging in empty positive thinking. It is about shifting your state of consciousness so deeply that wealth becomes a natural and effortless part of your identity. Consider how a person who is naturally wealthy carries themselves. They do not constantly worry about money or stress about how they will afford things. They operate from a deep inner knowing that they are taken care of, that opportunities are always available, that money flows to them easily. They feel secure, at peace, and confident in their financial well-being. This feeling is the key. It is not money itself that makes them feel this way, but rather their inner conviction that wealth is already theirs. To manifest wealth, you must begin by cultivating this feeling within yourself. You must ask yourself, how would I feel if I were already financially abundant? How would I walk, talk, and move through the world? What emotions would fill me if I truly believed that money was always flowing to me? And once you have found that feeling, you must embody it every single day, regardless of what your current circumstances appear to be. You must make the feeling of wealth your new normal. When you consistently dwell in this state, when you refuse to let doubt shake you, the world must rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Many people believe that hard work and effort are the primary drivers of wealth. While action is important, it is not the source of abundance. Your state of being is. If effort alone created financial success, then the hardest working people in the world would be the richest. But we know this is not the case. Some struggle endlessly, working long hours, sacrificing their well-being, yet never achieving financial freedom. Meanwhile, others seem to attract wealth effortlessly without strain or excessive labor. The difference lies in their internal state. The ones who attract money with ease feel wealthy before the money arrives. They have trained their minds to dwell in abundance rather than lack, and as a result, money flows to them in ways they could not have planned or predicted. This is why trying to force wealth through struggle and effort often leads to frustration. When you act from a place of desperation or lack, you reinforce the idea that money is scarce and difficult to obtain. Your energy carries the vibration of struggle, and the world reflects that back to you. But when you move through life with the energy of someone who already has more than enough, when you take inspired action from a place of confidence and certainty, the results are entirely different. Opportunities appear effortlessly, doors open, and financial breakthroughs occur in ways that seem almost miraculous. Wealth is not something outside of you waiting to be earned or discovered. It is something that already exists within you, waiting to be realized. When you shift your focus from seeking wealth to feeling wealthy now, everything begins to change. The way you carry yourself changes, the way you speak about money changes, the way you interact with opportunities changes, and because your internal world shifts, your external world must follow. One of the most effective ways to cultivate the feeling of wealth is through imagination. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you repeatedly immerse yourself in the experience of financial abundance in your mind, your subconscious will accept it as truth. Close your eyes and picture yourself living your ideal financial life. See yourself with more money than you could ever need, experiencing the freedom, security, and joy that come with financial ease. Feel the emotions of gratitude and confidence as if it were already done. The more real this experience becomes in your imagination, the more quickly it will manifest in your physical reality. Another powerful method is to embody wealth in your daily life even before the money appears. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to have money you do not yet possess. It means carrying yourself with the confidence and certainty of someone who knows they are financially free. It means shifting your language, eliminating words like, "I can't afford that," or "money is always a problem for me," and replacing them with affirmations of abundance. It means expressing gratitude for the wealth you already have, no matter how small, because gratitude amplifies abundance. Your assumptions about money shape your reality. If you assume that wealth is difficult to attain, it will be. If you assume that money comes only through struggle, then that will be your experience. But if you assume that you are already wealthy, that financial ease is your birthright, then the universe will confirm that assumption. You are always living out your most dominant beliefs, whether you realize it or not. The key is to take conscious control of those beliefs, to choose wealth as your inner reality, knowing that the outer world must conform. Doubt is the greatest obstacle to this process. The moment you begin to feel wealthy within, your logical mind may try to convince you otherwise. It may remind you of your current financial struggles, of past failures, of the limitations you believe exist. But these are merely old thought patterns, reflections of past conditioning. They have no power unless you give them power. You must persist in the feeling of wealth, even when the world has not yet caught up. You must remain unwavering in your inner knowing that abundance is already yours, no matter what external appearances suggest. Faith in the unseen is what bridges the gap between desire and manifestation. You do not need to know how wealth will come to you. You do not need to figure out every step in advance. Your only task is to embody the feeling of financial freedom so completely that the universe has no choice but to bring it into form. Money is simply energy, and it flows naturally to those who are aligned with it. When you let go of resistance, when you stop worrying about the details, when you trust that wealth is already yours, the path reveals itself effortlessly. This is not theory or wishful thinking, it is a law of consciousness. The world you experience is nothing more than a projection of your dominant state of being. Change your inner world, and your outer world must change in response. Feel wealthy now, in this moment, and wealth will come to you in ways you never imagined. It is already within you, waiting to be claimed. The moment you accept it as your reality, it must become your experience. Time is never the obstacle to your wealth. The idea that wealth is something distant, something that requires years of effort or some perfect set of conditions, is an illusion. Wealth exists in the eternal present. always accessible, always waiting for you to claim it. The only thing standing between you and the experience of wealth is your state of being, your beliefs, your emotions, your awareness. You do not need to wait for the right time to be wealthy. You need only align yourself with the feeling of abundance now. Most people believe that money will come to them when they have worked long enough, struggled hard enough, or found the perfect opportunity. They see wealth as something external, something that happens to them, rather than something that emerges from within. This belief places wealth in the future, always just out of reach, always dependent on something outside of themselves. But wealth is not created by time, it is created by consciousness. The moment you fully accept the idea that you are already wealthy, that financial ease is your natural state, time becomes irrelevant. The conditions you once thought necessary for wealth begin to shift in your favor. Opportunities arise seemingly out of nowhere. Ideas flow effortlessly, and doors open where none existed before. This is not coincidence. Many people delay their wealth by constantly looking toward the future. They say, one day I'll be rich, or someday the right opportunity will come. But when you place wealth in the future, you are affirming that it is not yours now. And because the present moment is the only place where creation happens, you are unknowingly keeping wealth at a distance. The subconscious mind only understands now. It does not recognize someday or in the future. If you wish to be wealthy, you must feel wealthy now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. This is the great secret. What you assume to be true in this moment becomes your reality. If you assume wealth is always in the future, it will remain in the future. If you assume it is yours now, life will organize itself to confirm that assumption. This is why some people struggle for years, believing they must earn their wealth through endless effort, while others seem to attract money effortlessly. The difference is not in their level of skill or intelligence. The difference is in their consciousness. One is waiting for wealth, the other is living it now. One is seeing money as something external and separate, while the other has embodied it as their present reality. When you stop waiting for wealth and start feeling it now, you collapse the illusion of time. You no longer need to wait for the perfect circumstances, because you realize that wealth is already here, already flowing through you. Most people live by external evidence. They look at their bank account, their debts, their financial struggles, and they say, this is my reality. They react to what is, never realizing that what is has been created by past assumptions. If they have spent years believing that money is difficult to obtain, then naturally their present circumstances reflect that belief. But the moment they change their state of mind, the future begins to change. External evidence should never dictate your internal state. Instead, your internal state should dictate external evidence. When you hold firm to the feeling of wealth, when you refuse to be swayed by what the outer world currently shows, reality must shift to match your inner conviction. Some people argue that they cannot feel wealthy because their circumstances do not allow it. They say, how can I feel abundant when I have no money? But this thinking is backward. The external world is only a reflection of your past thoughts. If you continue to wait for wealth to appear before you feel it, you will always be waiting. The only way to change your external conditions is to change your internal state first. Feel wealthy now, before the money arrives, and it will come. Feel secure now, even if you have nothing, and security will manifest. Everything begins within. You do not need time to be wealthy. You do not need years of hard work or some perfect opportunity to appear. You need only to align yourself with the feeling of financial abundance now. When you do this, the illusion of time dissolves, and wealth begins to move toward you rapidly. The people, ideas, and opportunities that were once missing will appear effortlessly. What once seemed impossible will become natural and easy. You are not waiting for wealth. Wealth is waiting for you. The moment you step into the consciousness of abundance, you will see that it was never far away. It was always within you, ready to be expressed. Money flows to those who are open to receiving it. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you allow. The more you grasp and strive for it, the more it seems to slip through your fingers. But the moment you relax into the knowing that money is already yours, that it is a natural extension of your being, it begins to flow effortlessly into your life. This is the secret most people overlook. They think they must work harder, push more, or do something extraordinary to deserve wealth. But true financial abundance is not a matter of effort. It is a matter of alignment. The universe operates on the principle of abundance. Just as nature effortlessly produces endless forests, rivers, and oceans, so too is money meant to flow freely and abundantly. Lack is not a law, it is a belief. It is a mindset, a conditioned way of seeing the world. Those who struggle with money do so not because they are less capable, but because they have been taught to believe in scarcity. They have absorbed the idea that money is limited, that wealth is only for a select few, or that they must earn every dollar through suffering. But none of this is true. Money is energy, and energy flows where it is welcomed. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you assume. The world outside is only a reflection of the world within. To become rich, you must first occupy the state of wealth in consciousness, for every external condition is but the shadow cast by the mind. You must see yourself as already possessing abundance, not in some distant future, but now. Feel it as real, not as a hope, but as a fact. What would it feel like if money flowed effortlessly into your life? If you lived in a home of beauty, traveled freely, and experienced the finest of life's offerings, dwell in that feeling as though it were true, and the world will reshape itself to match your assumption. Your words hold power. What you declare in the silence of your mind will manifest in the structure of your reality. Never speak of lack, never affirm struggle, for the mind that dwells on poverty only invites more of the same. Instead, let every thought and word reflect the wealth you wish to embody. Speak as though money is an ever-present companion, as though opportunities arise effortlessly, and so they shall. Gratitude is the magnet for riches, not for what is yet to come, but for what is already yours in the unseen. Give thanks in advance for the wealth that exists in the unseen realm. When you persist in gratitude, you shift your consciousness from lack to sufficiency, and the world has no choice but to deliver what matches your state. Action flows naturally from the state you occupy. If you truly believe yourself to be wealthy, your choices, your habits, and your movements will align with that belief. You will recognize opportunities where others see none. You will move with confidence, for the world responds to certainty. Hold the vision, persist in the feeling, and the wealth that already exists within will take form without. Wealth is not something external to be acquired, but a state of consciousness to be assumed. Everything in your world is a reflection of the assumptions you hold within. If you wish to be rich, you must first become rich in mind. This is not about wishing, hoping, or even working harder. It is about assuming the feeling of already being wealthy. Your world will always conform to the dominant state you occupy, and if that state is one of abundance, then abundance must manifest. Consider for a moment the way you currently think about money. If you view it as something difficult to attain, something that requires struggle, something that comes and goes unpredictably, then that belief becomes your reality. Your outer world is simply a mirror, reflecting back to you the sum total of your beliefs. It does not argue or contradict you, it simply fulfills the pattern you impress upon it. The only way to change your financial condition is to change the assumptions you hold about money. You must stop seeing wealth as something distant, as something reserved for others, and instead accept it as a natural part of your experience. To assume the state of wealth means to live in the feeling of already being financially free. This is not daydreaming or fantasizing about some future event. It is about shifting your identity now. If you were already rich, how would you think, feel, and act? What would your daily life look like? What would you say to yourself? What kind of decisions would you make? The moment you take on these qualities internally, the external world will begin to shift to match them. Wealth will no longer be something you chase, It will be something that flows naturally into your experience. Feelings are the secret to transformation. You may intellectually understand that wealth is possible, but unless you feel it as a present reality, nothing will change. The subconscious mind is impressed only by feeling, not by logic or reasoning. If you constantly feel anxious about money, worried about bills, or frustrated by your circumstances, then you are reinforcing the state of lack. But if you generate the feeling of financial ease, of having more than enough, of enjoying the luxuries of life, then you are creating a new pattern for reality to follow. The more vividly and consistently you feel this wealth, the more rapidly it will materialize. There is no force outside of you dictating your financial status. It is not the economy, your job, or the opportunities available to you that determine your wealth. It is your state of consciousness. The moment you accept this truth, you reclaim your power. You no longer look at your bank account to decide how wealthy you are. Instead, you decide within yourself that you are already rich, and then watch as the external conditions rearrange themselves accordingly. One of the most effective ways to assume the state of wealth is to act as though you are already living in abundance. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to have money you do not yet possess. Rather, it means moving through life with the confidence and certainty of someone who knows that wealth is always available. A wealthy person does not constantly worry about running out of money, nor do they feel unworthy of luxury or comfort. They move with ease, knowing that financial abundance is a natural part of their life. If you begin to adopt this same mindset, if you stop hesitating over every financial decision, if you stop doubting your ability to attract money, if you start feeling deserving of wealth, then money will come to you in ways you never imagined. Your inner conversations must align with the state you wish to manifest. What do you tell yourself about money when no one is listening? Do you reinforce ideas of struggle, of limitation, of fear? Or do you speak to yourself as someone who has already arrived at financial freedom? Your inner dialogue creates the framework for your reality. The more you affirm your wealth, not as a future possibility, but as a present fact, the more quickly it will become visible. Imagination is the tool through which reality is shaped. The richest people in the world did not wait for physical proof before believing in their wealth. They imagined it first, felt it as real, and then watched as circumstances conformed to their inner picture. You must do the same. Every night before you sleep, see yourself living the life of abundance you desire. Feel the excitement of financial freedom, the ease of limitless resources, the joy of giving generously. Make this feeling so real that as you drift into sleep, your subconscious accepts it as truth. What you impress upon the subconscious will always find expression in the physical world. Doubt is the greatest enemy of manifestation. The moment you question whether or not this will work, you revert to your old state. You must persist in the assumption of wealth, even when external circumstances suggest otherwise. This is the test of faith. Can you believe in your wealth, even when your bank account says otherwise? Can you remain in the state of abundance, even when temporary setbacks arise? Those who master this unwavering belief are the ones who experience the greatest financial transformations. The key is to live from the end, to assume that what you desire is already yours. You do not need to know how it will happen. You do not need to figure out every step. The path will unfold naturally as you remain faithful to the feeling of already being rich. The universe will move in ways you could never predict, bringing opportunities, connections, and ideas that align with your new state. Wealth is not something separate from you. It is a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. Change the belief, assume the state, and watch as the world bends to match your assumption. Your words shape your world. Every word you speak, whether aloud or in the silence of your mind, carries power. They are not empty sounds or meaningless expressions. They are creative forces that set the foundation of your reality. To become rich, you must speak the language of wealth. You must abandon all words of lack, struggle, and limitation. If you say you are broke, if you declare that making money is difficult, if you constantly express frustration about your financial situation, then you are affirming lack, and lack must continue to appear in your life. The world only reflects what you continuously declare to be true. Every word has a vibration, and your words send instructions to your subconscious mind. If you say, "I can't afford it," you are not simply describing your current situation, you are reinforcing a state of lack. Your subconscious accepts your words as law and will ensure that your reality reflects them. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," shift to a language of possibility. Money flows to me in many ways. I always have more than enough. Opportunities for wealth are everywhere. These words, when spoken with feeling, begin to reprogram your mind, and as your inner world shifts, your external reality must follow. Look at those who live in wealth. They do not go around speaking of financial struggle. They do not complain about money. They carry an unshakable confidence in their prosperity, whether they have $1 million in their account or only a few hundred. Their words reflect an inner knowing that wealth is always available. This is why money continues to flow to them. The rich do not speak in terms of scarcity. They speak in terms of abundance, and this is exactly why they experience it. You must adopt the same mindset. Speak as though you are already financially free. Declare your wealth before you see it, and in time, you will see it. Pay attention to the conversations you engage in. Many people unknowingly block their own wealth by constantly discussing their financial problems. They complain about the cost of living. They express frustration over bills. They talk about the economy as if it has control over their financial destiny. These words reinforce a mindset of lack. If you wish to be wealthy, you must stop engaging in conversations that affirm scarcity. Surround yourself with those who speak the language of abundance. Talk about possibilities, not limitations. Talk about success, not failure. Your words should uplift, not diminish. It is not only the words you say to others that matter, but also the words you say to yourself. Your inner dialogue shapes your outer reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that wealth is for others but not for you, then your subconscious will create circumstances that prove you right. But if you begin to tell yourself a new story, one where you are capable, deserving, and financially free, your subconscious will create circumstances to match that belief. Affirmations are a powerful tool for shifting your inner dialogue. An affirmation is not simply a positive statement, it is a declaration of truth. When you say, "I am wealthy," you are not hoping to be wealthy in the future, you are claiming that wealth is already yours. Say it with feeling. Feel the truth of those words as you say them. Let them sink into your subconscious until they become your dominant belief. Repeat them daily, not as empty words, but as statements of fact. The words you use also affect how others perceive and respond to you. If you constantly express doubt or struggle, people will sense that energy and respond accordingly. But if you speak with confidence, if you carry yourself as someone who knows they are financially secure, others will treat you as such. Opportunities will present themselves, doors will open, people will be drawn to the certainty you exude. Money itself responds to the energy of your words. It is not merely a physical object, it is energy, and it is attracted to those who speak its language. When you speak of money with respect, gratitude, and confidence, it moves toward you. But when you speak of it with frustration, fear, or resentment, it moves away. If you wish to attract wealth, speak as though you are already wealthy. Treat money as an ally, not an enemy. Doubt and contradiction weaken the power of your words. If you affirm wealth but then immediately complain about bills, you send mixed signals to your subconscious. You must be consistent. Let every word you speak align with the reality you wish to create. Even in moments of difficulty, hold firm to the language of abundance. The more you persist, the stronger your new reality becomes. Speak your wealth into existence. Speak it as though it is already done. Do not wait for external confirmation. The world is a reflection of your inner state, and when your words reflect prosperity, prosperity must follow. Money responds to the state of mind you dwell in. It is not something separate from you, something you must chase or struggle for. It is a reflection of your inner state, a mirror that shows you what you truly believe about wealth, success, and abundance. The one who feels rich inside will see riches manifest in their life effortlessly, while the one who dwells in thoughts of lack will continue to experience scarcity, no matter how hard they try. This is the secret that few understand. Wealth begins in consciousness. Your imagination is the birthplace of everything you desire. It is not a passive force, but the creative power that shapes your world. The way you see yourself in your mind's eye determines the experiences that unfold in your life. If you wish to be rich, you must first become rich in your imagination. You must feel the reality of wealth before it appears in the physical world. If you continue to see yourself as someone who struggles financially, if you identify as someone who never has enough, then you will continue to manifest situations that affirm that self-concept. But if you shift your inner vision, if you begin to see yourself as prosperous, successful, and financially free, then the outer world will have no choice but to conform to that image. To change your financial reality, you must live in the feeling of already having what you desire. This is not daydreaming. This is the deliberate act of assuming the state of being rich before any external evidence appears. Close your eyes and imagine what it would feel like to have financial abundance. See yourself holding large sums of money. Feel the ease and confidence that comes with knowing you always have more than enough. Walk through life with the inner assurance that wealth is already yours. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts what you impress upon it. When you persist in the assumption of wealth, reality will begin to shift to match that assumption. Many people make the mistake of waiting for their circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel abundant. They say, once I have money, then I will feel secure. Once I get a better job, then I will feel successful. But this is backward thinking. The feeling must come first. You cannot wait for wealth to appear before you believe in it. You must believe in it first, and then it will appear. The outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. If you remain in a state of lack, you will continue to see lack around you. But if you shift your state, if you feel the truth of your wealth before it appears, then the outer world will shift accordingly. You do not need to know how wealth will come to you. The how is not your concern. The moment you try to force the process, the moment you obsess over specific details, you introduce doubt and resistance. Instead, your only job is to dwell in the state of already having. The infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to bring your desires to fruition. The world will rearrange itself to reflect your inner conviction. Unexpected opportunities will arise, financial doors will open, the right people will appear, and circumstances will align in ways you could never have planned. This is the natural outworking of your state of consciousness. Doubt is the greatest enemy of wealth consciousness. The moment you question whether your financial desires will manifest, you disrupt the process. You must have unwavering faith in the reality of what you have imagined. You must trust that the unseen is just as real as the seen. If you allow yourself to be swayed by appearances, if you react to temporary setbacks or financial struggles, you will fall back into the old state of lack. Hold firm to your vision. No matter what the outer world presents, remain in the knowing that you are already rich. Look at those who are financially successful. They move through life with an unshakable confidence in their wealth. They do not second guess whether money will come to them, they expect it. This expectation is not based on luck or external circumstances, but on their deep-seated belief in their own financial security. They have assumed the identity of a wealthy person, and because they hold that self-impediment consistently, wealth continues to flow to them. You must do the same. Assume the state of being rich, not just for a moment, not just when it is convenient, but as a constant state of being. Your imagination is limitless. It is not bound by circumstances, time, or logic. If you can conceive it and persist in the feeling of it, it must come to pass. When you visualize yourself as wealthy, do not do it as though you are wishing for something far away. Do it as though it is happening now. Feel it with every part of your being. Engage all your senses. What does financial freedom feel like? What do you see, hear, and experience in this reality? Let it become real within you, and soon it will become real outside of you. Money is not something you acquire, it is something you attract by the person you become. If you hold on to old patterns of thinking, if you continue to identify as someone who lacks wealth, then no matter what actions you take, you will find yourself struggling. But the moment you shift your self-concept, the moment you assume the identity of someone who is already rich, your reality must reflect that assumption. This is the power of your mind. This is the law that governs all creation. Let go of the idea that wealth is something outside of you. It is not in a job, an investment, or an external opportunity. It is within you. It has always been within you. The moment you recognize this, the moment you accept that your inner world determines your financial reality, you step into your power. Assume the feeling of already being rich. Live in that feeling daily. The world must bend to reflect what you hold to be true in your imagination. Money flows where it is welcome. It is an energy that responds to the way you think and feel about it. If you view money as something elusive, difficult to obtain, or reserved for others, then it will always remain just out of reach. But if you see money as a natural and abundant presence in your life, if you cultivate a relationship with it based on ease, gratitude, and expectation, then it will flow to you in ways you could never have imagined. Your relationship with money begins in your mind. It is not about the amount in your bank account. It is about the way you perceive wealth, the emotions you attach to it, and the way you allow it to move through your life. Many people unknowingly push money away. They do this through fear, guilt, and a sense of unworthiness. They desire wealth but carry beliefs that contradict their desires. They say they want more money, yet they resent those who have it. They speak of financial abundance, yet they feel uncomfortable receiving it. They long for financial freedom, yet they hold on to the idea that money is scarce or that they must struggle for it. These contradictions create a block, a resistance that prevents money from flowing in. To welcome wealth, you must remove all inner resistance and align your emotions, beliefs, and actions with the state of financial ease. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in attracting money. When you appreciate what you already have, you signal to the universe that you are open to receiving more. Many people fall into the trap of focusing on what they lack, constantly thinking about their financial struggles, their unpaid bills, or what they wish they had. But what you focus on expands. If your attention is always on lack, then lack will continue to be your experience. Shift your focus. Begin to appreciate every bit of money that flows into your life, no matter how small. Be thankful for every dollar, every opportunity, every act of generosity you receive. Feel a deep sense of gratitude for the wealth that is already present, even if it has not yet appeared in physical form. The more you appreciate money, the more it will flow to you. Money loves movement. It is not meant to be hoarded in fear or held onto with a sense of lack. Just as the ocean is in constant motion, flowing freely and abundantly, so too must money move through your life. This does not mean reckless spending, but it does mean letting go of the fear of loss. Many people cling to their money, afraid to spend it, afraid to invest, afraid to let it flow. But what is feared is repelled. If you treat money with a mindset of lack, if you hold on to it tightly out of fear, then you are signaling to the universe that you do not trust in abundance. Instead, approach money with confidence. Spend wisely, give generously, and trust that it will return to you multiplied. The way you speak about money also affects your financial reality. Words are powerful. Every time you say, "I can't afford this," or "money is hard to come by," you are reinforcing a state of lack. Every time you complain about your financial situation or speak negatively about wealth, you are pushing money away. Instead, speak the language of abundance. Say, money flows to me easily and effortlessly. Say, I always have more than enough. Speak as if wealth is already yours and soon it will be. Your words shape your reality, and when you align your language with abundance, your financial circumstances will begin to shift. Your environment also plays a role in your relationship with money. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who have an abundant mindset, and who see wealth as a natural part of life. Avoid those who constantly complain about money, who dwell in financial struggle, or who discourage you from believing in your own abundance. Energy is contagious, and if you are constantly surrounded by scarcity thinking, it will influence your own beliefs. Seek out those who inspire you, who demonstrate financial ease, and who encourage you to expand your vision of wealth. To welcome money into your life, you must embody the energy of wealth. This means carrying yourself with confidence, making decisions from a place of abundance, and treating money as a friend rather than an enemy. When you stop seeing money as something separate from you, when you recognize that it is simply a reflection of your state of mind, then you will understand that true wealth is not something you acquire, it is something you become. Let go of the struggle, the doubt, and the fear. Step into the knowing that money is already yours. And as you align with this truth, you will see the evidence of it manifest all around you. Wealth is not something outside of you that you must chase. It is not something that exists in the hands of others while you stand on the outside looking in. It is something that must first be accepted within, a state of mind that becomes your natural way of being. Most people think wealth is created through effort alone, through labor, through struggle, through external means. But everything in your external world is a reflection of your internal world. The money you receive, the opportunities that come your way, and the financial freedom you seek are all direct manifestations of your state of consciousness. If you do not first become wealthy in your mind, then no amount of effort will bring you lasting financial success. Every person carries a self-imaginating, deeply ingrained idea of who they are and what they are capable of. This image determines how much wealth they allow into their lives. If a person sees themselves as someone who always struggles financially, as someone who just gets by, then no matter how hard they work, they will continue to experience financial struggle. If a person sees themselves as someone who is not worthy of wealth, then even if they come into money, they will find a way to lose it. But if a person redefines themselves as someone who naturally attracts abundance, as someone for whom money flows easily and effortlessly, then their reality will begin to shift in accordance with this new self-concept. The subconscious mind accepts whatever you impress upon it, and it will always find ways to make your outer world match your inner world. To shift your financial reality, you must first shift your identity. If you desire wealth, then you must begin to see yourself as someone who is already wealthy. This is not about pretending or wishful thinking. It is about reconditioning your mind to accept abundance as your natural state. Every day you must reinforce this new self-image. You must think like a wealthy person, speak like a wealthy person, and feel the ease and confidence of financial security. When you make decisions, make them from the mindset of abundance, not from fear or lack. Do not wait for money to show up before you allow yourself to feel wealthy. Feel it now, embody it now, and your world will begin to rearrange itself to match this state. Many people live in a cycle of financial limitation because they are unconsciously attached to their current reality. They identify with struggle, with debt, with lack, and they reinforce this identity every day through their thoughts, emotions, and actions. They check their bank account with fear, they speak about money with frustration, they make choices based on scarcity. But if you want to become wealthy, you must detach from the old self that is tied to struggle. You must stop giving energy to the idea that money is hard to come by. You must stop reinforcing a financial story that does not serve you. Instead, begin to align your energy with abundance. Act as if wealth is already yours, not in reckless spending, but in the way you carry yourself, in the way you think, in the way you move through the world with a deep sense of inner security. Your mind is the ultimate creator of your financial destiny. Every dollar that comes into your life is a result of the beliefs you hold about money. If you believe that money is a struggle, that is exactly what you will experience. If you believe that wealth is for others but not for you, then your subconscious will find ways to make that belief true. But the moment you shift your belief, the moment you claim wealth as your birthright, everything begins to change. There is no external force holding you back. There is no power outside of you that determines your financial future. It is all within. You are the cause of everything you experience. And once you take full responsibility for that truth, you gain the ability to transform your life. Money is simply a tool, a neutral energy that takes the form you give it. It does not favor one person over another. It flows to those who are aligned with it, to those who have removed the inner barriers that keep it at a distance. If you fear money, if you see it as something that corrupts, if you feel guilty about having more than others, then you are creating resistance to it. But if you welcome it, if you see it as a force that allows you to expand, to create, to experience greater freedom, then it will move toward you with ease. Release the negative associations you may have about wealth. Understand that money is neither good nor bad. It is simply a reflection of your consciousness. When you see it as an extension of your own creative power, you will no longer feel disconnected from it. To fully embrace the state of wealth, you must cultivate an unshakable faith in your ability to create abundance. Doubt is the greatest barrier to financial success. Many people set the intention to become wealthy, but deep down, they do not believe it is possible for them. They question whether they are worthy, whether they are capable, whether the circumstances will ever line in their favor. But the truth is, it is not about the external conditions. It is about the inner conviction. Those who succeed financially do not wait for proof before they believe in their wealth. They believe first, and the proof follows. They hold the inner knowing that they are abundant, and life responds accordingly. Every great financial success story begins with a shift in perception. It is not about luck, talent, or background. It is about embodying the consciousness of wealth. When you accept yourself as a person who is naturally prosperous, when you remove all resistance to money, when you think, speak, and act as if financial abundance is already yours, you will see the evidence of it unfold in your life. The world does not create your wealth, you do. And the moment you claim that power, you step into a reality where money is no longer something you chase, but something you attract effortlessly. Wealth is not something outside of you that you must pursue with struggle and effort. It is something that must be assumed within before it can appear in your outer world. The mistake many people make is believing that they must first see the evidence of money before they can feel abundant. But this is not how reality works. The outer world is a reflection of the inner state, and if the inner state is one of lack, then no matter how much action is taken, the results will always be temporary. Money, opportunities, and financial success are all manifestations of the consciousness you hold. If you want wealth to become a natural part of your experience, you must first embody the feeling of wealth within. Every person carries a deeply ingrained set of beliefs about money, and these beliefs determine the financial reality they experience. If a person believes that money is difficult to obtain, that they must work endlessly to make ends meet, or that they are not the type of person who becomes wealthy, then these beliefs will continue to shape their world. Even when opportunities arise, they will find a way to sabotage them or dismiss them as luck. But when a person shifts their identity, when they truly begin to see themselves as someone for whom wealth is natural and effortless, their world reorganizes to match this new belief. Money flows to those who expect it, to those who see themselves as worthy of it, and to those who align their inner world with abundance. The key is to live as though wealth is already yours. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to have what you do not. It means embodying the mindset, the confidence, and the sense of security that comes with financial abundance. When you walk into a store, do you look at the price tags with a feeling of restriction, calculating what you can or cannot afford? Or do you carry yourself with the ease of someone who knows that money flows to them effortlessly? When you think about your future, do you worry about expenses, about debts, about limitations? Or do you feel a deep inner knowing that everything you need will always be provided? These subtle shifts in perception make all the difference. Most people live in a state of financial anxiety because they are constantly reinforcing their current limitations. They speak about their struggles, they focus on their debts, they look at their bank accounts with fear, and they allow their emotions to be dictated by their financial circumstances. But if you continue to identify with lack, you will continue to experience lack. Instead, shift your focus entirely to abundance. Speak about money as if it is something that flows to you easily. Imagine yourself in a state of complete financial freedom. Let go of the need to check your bank account with worry, and instead trust that all is unfolding perfectly. When you make financial decisions, do so from a place of confidence rather than fear. The more you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with abundance, the more effortlessly wealth will find its way into your life. One of the greatest barriers to wealth is the subconscious belief that money is limited, or that having more means taking from others. But money is simply energy, a neutral force that responds to the state of your consciousness. The more you release any guilt, fear, or resistance surrounding wealth, the more freely it will flow to you. Many people struggle financially not because they are incapable of earning more, but because they hold deep-seated beliefs that wealth is difficult, that it changes people, or that they are undeserving of financial success. These beliefs operate beneath the surface, shaping every financial decision and opportunity. But the moment you dissolve these limitations, the moment you begin to see money as an unlimited resource that is available to all, you open the floodgates for wealth to enter your life. There is no force outside of you controlling your financial destiny. There is no external condition that determines whether or not you will be wealthy. Everything is happening within. If you assume wealth in your mind, the world will reflect it back to you. If you assume struggle, the world will confirm that belief as well. This is why those who win the lottery often lose their wealth quickly, because they never changed their inner state. They still carried the consciousness of struggle, and their external wealth could not override their deeply held beliefs. But those who cultivate an unshakable inner knowing that they are wealthy will always find ways to attract and maintain financial success. Many people wait for circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel wealthy. They wait for the promotion, the new job, the unexpected windfall, but this is the opposite of how true wealth is created. You must first shift your state of being, and then the outer world will follow. The moment you accept yourself as a person who is naturally abundant, the moment you release all doubt and fully embody the feeling of financial freedom, the world begins to reflect that new reality. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. Opportunities will appear effortlessly. People will be drawn to you, eager to work with you, to invest in you, to collaborate with you. But none of this happens until you first claim your wealth within. Your beliefs, your assumptions, and your emotions create the financial reality you experience. If you believe that money is hard to come by, you will always find evidence to support that belief. If you believe that you are meant for abundance, you will begin to see that abundance unfold in ways you never expected. This is not about hoping or wishing. It is about knowing. It is about stepping into the state of wealth so completely that there is no room for doubt. When you fully accept this truth, when you stop looking outside of yourself for proof and instead embody the certainty that money is already yours, you will see the results manifest effortlessly.